What's up, everybody? How are you? Hope you are all having an amazing day. Welcome to another episode of Rocket Live, as we do here every single Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I appreciate all of you joining us live right now, and thank you to everybody who will be watching a replay of this and listening to the audio version later on. I have a really great guest on today. I'm really excited to have on the show. I have Joanne Kaminski on from Online Tutor Coach LLC. Welcome, Joanne, to the show. Really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, super excited to have you on too. And we're going to be talking all about what you're up to, where you came from, all the great stuff you got going on. There's a book out, you've got online courses. So we're going to be diving into all that today. Want to let everybody know at the top of the show that, of course, you can always comment, ask questions as we go along, as we do this live. So I want to say hello to everybody who's watching on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn right now. Feel free to post your comments or ask your questions as we go along. I would also ask that if you're watching this on YouTube or any of the other places, that you hit that subscribe button, because it helps so much to grow the channel, but it also helps my guests as well, because in that way, you get notified every single time I go live, and it gives you the chance to like and share the videos that I produce. And that way it helps my guests get more exposure and help them reach the audience that they're looking for. So really appreciate all of you for joining us here today. And let's get into it. Joanne, how are you?
I'm fabulous. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So great. And once again, I feel like it's been a steady parade in the best way possible of people I've met on Clubhouse that have been coming on the show. It's been absolutely amazing. I love it so much.
Me too. In fact, that's exactly why I wrote the book about Clubhouse, just because it's been such an awesome, amazing resource for people to get to meet other people and get in front of other audiences, and really we all get to hear each other's stories and message and all of that amazing stuff. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been, everybody who's been watching and listening to this show knows so much about how, like, I'm always like, and this guest I met on Clubhouse, and I met them on Clubhouse, and we co-modded a room together in Clubhouse. But it's really been that, and it's been such a short amount of time that Clubhouse has made a large impact, I think, on all of our lives, as far as what you just said, that ability to connect and to meet people and get exposed to new networks, and not just even here, like in the United States, but like on a total global level. Like, it's amazing to be in a room and just chat with somebody, and it's like, oh, I'm from Australia, oh, I'm from Europe, oh, I'm from this. It's so cool, and like, you're all in a room together and just sharing ideas and having these like amazing conversations.
Yeah, I agree. And what's so cool is just being able to, you get to connect with people in a deeper way than other social media tools, so much quicker as well.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. And I know you wrote a book on it, and I want to talk all about the book that you created, because it's really cool. But before we get there, I want to just set things up, put things in context, and let everybody know who you are. Because I've introduced you as the online tutor coach, and I love that this is your brand. And I go to the website, and it's just really great. You've created all these courses. But I was reading up on you on LinkedIn, just getting a little bit of your backstory, and it's really cool. So I mean, you start basically, your story starts as a teacher, and so
it does.
Why don't you share everybody a little bit about that start of how you went from teacher to like business owner and social media author?
Yes. So I started off in the classroom as a third and fourth grade teacher, and I quickly began to kind of rise up the ranks in the school district. And in my second year, was asked to become the speak in front of audiences and teach them how to teach our reading program. And then the next year after that, they asked me to start teaching that reading program to the trainers. So I was training the trainers on how to teach other teachers about the reading program. And so I was really moving up the ranks pretty quickly, as fast as you possibly could, if there is a ladder inside of the education system.
Right.
After I became pregnant, I ended up becoming the reading specialist, went back to school to get my degree as a reading specialist, and stayed in that position for the next 5 years. And, it's amazing just how things just change. We had changes in our administration, we had changes
Right.
in staff, and there were just so many things that I just felt like I couldn't control. I was in the inner city, so there was um, we had 50% turnover of our teachers every single year. And while, I was like, I just felt like I had so many cards that were dealt against me in this
Yeah.
position. I wanted to be able to help the teachers be able to learn the reading strategies, but every year we kept hiring 50% brand new teachers. And so I had to help out with classroom management skills and all that lovely stuff. And that wasn't really what I wanted to do. And so
Right.
I'm like, well, let me give this another year. Let me try another school. Let's see if that's going to, make things better.
Right.
And went to the next school, and it was a worse situation than the last school that I came from.
Oh, wow.
And it just got to the point where I ended up getting sick, and my health was taking a toll because of it. So I was having to go in and out of the hospital, and I had this pain that was in my side that had slowly started to increase as the day would go on. It felt like that movie Groundhog's Day, because I would wake up in the morning, I'd feel
Right.
okay, and then the pain would increase as the day went on. And I had no idea what was going on. The doctors were never able to diagnose what was happening. But I remember taking a 3-month leave of absence. And after that 3 months, I ended up, sitting at my office desk, and I was sitting there, and I just heard this voice say, "This is not where you're meant to be." And I thought, oh, it isn't. It's not where I was meant to be.
Mm.
And at that moment, I had decided I'm not signing the contract for the next school year. And that was a really hard decision to make, because
Right.
we had 3 young kids at the time. We had
Yeah.
just decided to put a pool in. And so, it was not a really good time financially to make this decision that I'm not going back, but I knew my health really needed me to not come back the
Mhm.
following year. So I ended up deciding that I wasn't going to come back, and I was going to do something where I was going to work from home. I had no idea what it was going to be. And I tried many things. So I failed at like 5 different businesses before I became an online tutor. And it was a full year of discovery for me. So it took a year for me to figure out, well, what do I want to do?
Right.
And then I decided, you know what? I've always loved teaching. Let me see if I could do tutoring online and see if that could be a thing. And I said, when I started seeing other companies like charging tutors $10 an hour, like Sylvan and all those kinds of places, I was like, oh, heck no. Like, if you're charging $50 to the parent, and you've got three students, that means you're making $150 and paying the tutor $10 or $15 an hour. Like, no, that's not right. So I
No.
said, you know what? I'm going to go out there on my own and figure out how to do this. And I set up my own website, and I began putting up Bandit signs to advertise my tutoring business.
I love it.
And I went like all ghetto, like to let everybody know that I existed. And I even had this big like sign on the back of my car to let people know that I was doing this whole tutoring thing. And it was born. I started tutoring online, and all the people that wanted me to work with them in person, I transferred them to having the belief and the idea that online would be a better fit, even if they only lived 5 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
Because I found that I was able to actually get more done with my students online than I was ever able to do in person. And so that's how, my online tutoring was born. And then about 2 years later, I said, I've walked such a very like crazy path here on getting my business started, and I would
Right.
love to be able to help other tutors be able to get their business up and running. And so at that point in time, I still tutor on my own as well. I love working with the kids that I get to work with, but I also help tutors be able to learn how they can get students for their business, because usually when tutors are looking for help, it's not because they need help with how do I teach. What
Right.
they need help with is how do I get students? And so I help them to get found, hired, and referred.
Yeah, and I think that's really great. And you said so many like really key things in there. So I hope everybody out there who is watching and listening right now got a lot of the same things that I get out of you sharing your story. And one of those things is really the first thing you said in there was really becoming honest with yourself. And like, even though health, which is huge, I mean, if you don't have your health, I mean, what do you have at the end of the day? And
Nothing.
but you paid attention to that, and instead of just saying, well, I'm just going to press on and I guess deal with it, you said no. like you made a really difficult decision. I mean,
Yeah.
and that is a hard step to do. And I always applaud anybody who makes that decision, because it's not easy to do. You are taking a risk, but when you feel it's something you have to do, like you can feel it in your soul, like you're like, I have to do this. You go and you go do it. And then not only did you do it, you tried 5 times. And I hate, the word failure is not, I think as a society, like we tend to look at the word failure as, oh my God, it failed. It's like this negative thing, but it's actually, it should really be celebrated in the sense that it wasn't failure. You went and you tried to do something and you learned from it. So each time you did it and it didn't work out the way you wanted it to, you learned something. So those were really learning opportunities in which you were able to grow. And then by the time you got through those, now you took what you applied from those opportunities, because that's what failure really is. It's an opportunity.
Right. Exactly.
And you were able to then now launch this business that is actually now taking the things you learned and applying it and creating something that's very successful and has turned successful for you. So those points are really interesting, because that's the typical way of doing it. So when people go, well, how do you start a business? I know how to start a business. When is the right time to start a business? And the answers to those are, I think like anything in life, well, there's never really a right time to do anything. You just have to do it. And I know it's like, oh my God, you just have to do it. But really, I mean, that's what it comes down to, because it doesn't happen overnight. And anybody that tells you, well, you're going to be successful in 60 to 90 days or whatever it is so full of crap, because it's not how it goes. There's a lot of figuring out. So you even said it too. Like I spent a year really trying to figure this out. And that's the work that has to be done. You have to do that. There's no surefire way of doing it. And so that's why I wanted to go back and just highlight some of these things that you said, because they're very important, I think, key elements to when people go, well, how do you become successful? How do you start a business? Well, you just said it. Those are the building blocks. Those are the ways to do it. And there's no shortcuts for that, regardless of whatever system somebody's trying to tell you or sell you or whatever. There's the only way to do it is to just by getting in there, doing it, becoming honest with yourself, putting yourself out there. So there's a lot of fear, and so there has to be a little bit of like, you're going to put yourself in very uncomfortable positions to get yourself comfortable doing it, and you're going to take some risks. But the reward is you're going to learn, and then you're going to get better, and you're going to grow, and you're going to rinse and repeat until you get to the point of like, this is working. This is clicking with me now. So, definitely hats off to you for doing it, because it's not an easy road, but once you get there and once it starts working, it's working. It's firing on all cylinders.
My gosh. It is. And it's like gold. I mean, today I have 2 6-figure businesses, and, like people would often think, like when it comes to my tutoring business, I don't have any other tutors that are working underneath me. So it's not like I'm solely bringing in that money for that 6-figure business. And then I've got, my other business where I help tutors. And so it absolutely is possible, but it does take time. And I always have people who say, well, what's the one way, like if I were to put all of my time into one thing of like marketing my business online, what's the one thing you would tell me to do? And I would say, get rid of that idea. Because honestly, at the end of the day, it is about trying so many darn things that you become exhausted with trying to try things so that you can get found. The biggest problem that I find tutors have specifically is that nobody knows you exist. And if nobody knows you exist, then you have to do everything in your power to get out there so that people know that you exist.
1,000%. It couldn't have said it any better. And on top of that, to build off what you just said, which was that was great information, is to oftentimes don't worry right now about reaching 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 people. Worry about right now reaching the top 50 people that you know, and start there. Because people go, well, where do I start at? Worry about the top 50 people in your life who are like your biggest fans, your biggest supporters, your network, your relationships, and start there, and then amplify it. Like that's how it works. That's how it's going to go, because those people are going to be your biggest fans. They're going to be the ones that are going to really help you and promote you and refer you. And they're going to give you awesome feedback as well, which you can take and learn how to like, because you're going to adjust it on the fly. This is a very like, I'm always from a like ready, fire, aim kind of an attitude. Like get it out there. You can always fix and adjust it on the fly. and it's going to happen more often than you actually even realize how much it's going to happen. But that's the point, is once you're out there and you're doing it, it's out there in the world, and now you really just got it. You just got to stay on top of mind. Help people help you. Give them the information, give them what they need to be able to get the word out about what you're doing. So it's also very important to be focused, to be clear, be very specific what you're asking help for, so then that way they can help you. But you have to do that. You have to do the outreach. And, and I know some people are like, well, I feel weird asking for help. Do not feel weird asking for help, especially if you're the one always putting yourself out there and providing help and being the first one. There's nothing wrong with going back now and asking for help as well. As long as it's coming from a really honest and genuine spot, people are going to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's amazing. When I first got started too, when I put my Bandit signs up and I had somebody call me, like it was like somebody from church that we had never met before. And even that very first client, like she could tell, like I was brand new at this. I wasn't trying to be something that I wasn't. I said, look, I don't know if online is going to work, but it's worked with my nephew because I worked with him first doing this. And it was an amazing experience. I found I was able to actually teach faster online than I was ever able to do in person. And she was such a proponent, and she was so sold on it that she got me 2 clients right out of the gate.
See, and there you go. And it's and I love too. So there's something else you're saying too, which I absolutely love, because I love the Bandit signs, because I often talk so much about like, punk rock marketing and things like that. But like, sometimes the old school, if you want to call it old school, but sometimes the most practical ways of really getting out there, advertising and network, is doing something just like that. And it makes total sense because of who you're going after, your market. Online tutoring. It's like, hey, who doesn't need a tutor, regardless of what age you're in? Like who doesn't need a tutor? Who doesn't need that kind of help? And so the best way, once again, people don't know about you. How are they going to find you? Well, hey, Bandit signs are a great way to do that, as well as social media. Don't forget about some of the actual like real life applications of things that like people see, drive by, walk by, whatever they are. So that is a really cool idea. So I hope everybody out there is listening when they go, I don't know how to get noticed. I don't know how to get found. I've spent a lot of time on social media. Well, then I can say, well, did you try Bandit signs? Because if you haven't yet, maybe you should start thinking about trying it, because
give it a go.
Here's some proof right now that they actually work.
They do really work.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, they were the scariest thing in the world for me to put up.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. They were easy to make online, right? That wasn't a problem. I had no problem. They were easy to accept for the delivery. They were easy to put together, but to put them in my car, to actually turn my car on and drive there and have people see me get out of my car and put them up, that was the scariest piece for me. And I was like, you know what? I don't care what you do. Like if your 5 actions a day is putting up 5 of these signs right now, then that's what it is, because it was that scary for me to get out there. And a lot of people don't realize this about me, but I'm very introverted. And so like doing these things where I have to be seen to put things out there is not always the easiest thing for me. But it worked with getting, the initial push with my business.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting thing you say, because that is true. Like now it's like you did all that, and now here comes the final action step, which is really like putting it out there into the world. This is your calling card, right? This is the thing that's there. It's a sign. And people are going to see it. They're going to recognize your name. And, it's either going to be, hey, I saw your sign. This is great. Or I saw your sign. Like, what do you do? And it's just like, you start doing all these things in your head, but it's all it's all just trash is what it is. So
so is. Yeah. And that one person looked at me and said, I can't believe you're putting up those signs. Right. What other people said to me was, I had one person say, wow, you're brave. I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
Right.
And because it is so scary. And I had other people it was amazing because I had even the sign on my car. So I had so many people in my own neighborhood, you guys, that had hired me for tutoring. I'm like, gosh, I have a lot of people in my neighborhood that have hired me for tutoring. It's kind of weird. Like it didn't even dawn on me, dude, you have a big sign on the back of your car.
It's because I'm literally driving around in a billboard.
Right.
Why are all these people in my neighborhood? Oh, wait a second. Billboard in my car. Well, now you know it works. That's a great
Yeah.
proof of ROI right there.
Right, exactly. And that was
That's
another
awesome.
really scary thing. Driving
Yo,
around with my business on my car. That was scary too,
yeah,
and what are people gonna think of me? And, are people gonna judge me? And there could have been some of that going on, but they certainly didn't do it to my face. So, it
yeah,
was all
and it's
good.
fine. And if they're not brave enough to do it to your face, then who cares?
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
So I love this, and I love too. So you created a business, and I love that you've been able to create this business and expand it out. So literally make a business to students, aimed at students, and then you create another version of the business, which is now aimed at helping other teachers, other tutors create their own business, their own version of what you have. So
mhm.
this is great because it's like you've created two different business models, but doing something that you love.
Yes, yes. And sometimes I'm kind of jealous because some of the people that I get to help out get results a lot faster than I did. And I'm like, "Dang, why didn't I have a me back then?" Because like there was nobody that was really that I started my business in 2010. There really were a lot of people that I could go to for help when it came
Right.
to really starting my business. And so, that's why I became so passionate about being able to help other teachers and tutors because there really wasn't a lot out there. And a lot of
Mhm.
the other people that were out there, they were marketers for general services, right? And so I had to learn from some of the other like general gurus that were kind of out
Right.
there and how to do certain things. And they were extremely expensive, to be able to invest your money inside of. And it was an expensive way to be able to grow. And I learned a lot from the entire process.
Yeah, I think that's really great. I mean, and that's what it should be because I mean, once you learn, from one thing and you're able to apply it to the other thing, and then they start to like really help each other out. You're like, it's really interesting because that's another thing too. Is what happens a lot of time is like people don't think about sort of the byproducts that come out of their business and how they could turn that also into another viable form of revenue stream for themselves. And so that's another cool thing that you did is you created this online tutor coach business and aimed at the market, but the byproduct of this was you learned how to now do all these things for the first time. You didn't know how to do them, and then you're able to like, whoa, with all this knowledge and everything I've gotten, well, I could teach other people how to do this too. And now
Mhm.
you've created this whole, and that's a byproduct by doing this business and learning how to do these things. So I think that's really cool. And once again, it's another valuable lesson I think for anybody out there who's watching and listening to this is those things. Like think about the things in your business that you're already doing that may be cast aside or you're just not thinking about them in the way, but actually when you look at them and identify them, they could be a really valuable and a really you could productize it and monetize that portion of your business into a whole different revenue stream.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. And there's always so many other things that you can do to add those additional revenues, which is great.
right.
There's, people and you want to be seen as an expert in your field and what it is that you
Of
do.
course.
So, and they allow you to do that, right? You've got your YouTube where you can really begin to grow a close connection with your audience. You've got Facebook groups where,
Hmm.
people can, ask questions and they can, feel like they're part of a community. And you've got places like Clubhouse where you can speak on other stages. And there's just so many things that are like at our fingertips. And I think right now, the biggest thing that people feel is overwhelm. Like they don't know
Yeah.
where to start or where to go. And sometimes it's like they're listening to so many gurus that they don't know who to listen to anymore because
Yeah.
this person over here says this and that person over there says that. And so I think when people begin to find me in my community, what they really love is that they finally have that step by step. Okay, as a tutor, how do I do this?
Right. Right. And that's very valuable information because you are right. And you make a really good point there is there are a lot of online gurus and especially in the realm of social and you've got these platforms and whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn or we'll talk about it in a bit Clubhouse, basically anybody can say anything and be anybody they want doesn't necessarily make it
Mhm.
true. So,
Right.
and you got to be careful where you're getting your information from. So it's very helpful to, just verify the person who's speaking or sharing content that they are who they say they are, and actually have the accolades or the work behind them to back up that what they're talking about. So
absolutely. Don't ignore testimonials, people. Don't ignore them. Yes. Right. And it's so amazing just how many people, like even some of those people that you do check out, like how many of them have great testimonials, but then you start working with them and you're like, oh.
Yeah, you're like, did you just make these up? I think you just made these up, didn't you? You had somebody else write them and put someone's name to it. Which is also something that happens. I mean, it's some people will go to great lengths to really disguise their quote unquote true identity on things. Yeah. So you got to be really careful. Crazy. So I do want to talk about, so let's get into this a little bit about Clubhouse, because this is where you and I met. Once again, as I said at the top of the show, it's been a great parade of people who have been coming onto the show who I've met and developed relationships with, and whether working together or become friendly, or we're co-modding rooms or anything, or all that stuff. But we met in one of the rooms. I think it was probably the podcasting room, right? The podcasting morning chat room, which is where which is the room I hang out at the most, besides my own rooms. And so that's where we met. And you have actually put out a book, which I'm really interested in hearing about, because I'm going to bet this is 100% based on your experience and your time in Clubhouse. But the book is called Clubhouse Social Media: How to Become More Influential. And you can get that now. It's out, and it's actually, I have it in the links above or below this, wherever this video is playing. The comments are above or below, but it's in there. And also in the show notes, you'll be able to click on it as well and get a copy of it if you want. But so talk a little bit about this book, Clubhouse Social Media: How to Become More Influential.
One of the biggest problems I find that people have is, they start off with an audience of 0, right? And so, especially us as teachers and tutors, like we really didn't know a lot about networking when we were in the school system, because we were kind of like our own little island inside of our classrooms. And so networking really wasn't something that people do. So when they begin to decide they want to be a tutor and they want to get found from all over the world, and, I start talking about all of these different things that they can do, they're like, but Joanne, nobody can hear me. And so then I say, okay, so you need to get in front of other audiences, right? Like try podcasts, try, writing a blog post and, sending it to other blogs and that kind of stuff. But what I found was really exciting was being able to find those special rooms inside of Clubhouse and being able just to add value to those rooms. It's just a really great way to get seen, to be found by people that really need to hear what it is that you have to say and what you have to share. It's not about pitching your services. It's just about really showing how passionate you are about what it is that you do, and being there when people have questions to be able to answer the questions that they have. And I love that you have the ability to, get on stage and you can answer those questions. You get to be a part of that conversation. Podcasts don't really allow us that opportunity for us to just bring on people in the audience right now to be part of the conversation. But in Clubhouse, that does happen. You just click the little button and you can join the people on the stage if they're accepting people on stage at that moment. And it was so awesome just how many people were accepting me to come on stage when I first came into the app. And I was like, this is so cool. This is like you getting to choose in your own time, in your own moment, the times that work for you, to be able to join stages that matter most to you, and be able to share about things that you're passionate about. And I just thought that this is so cool. And that's how you grow an audience, right? The more people that know that you care about them, what they're going through, and that you have knowledge on a certain topic, they're going to want to follow you. This is going to grow your audience. I remember I don't know if it was that same day on that same room that I was in with you, but one of the people, when I told her what I did, she's like, oh my gosh, do you know a math tutor? And I was like, I do know a math tutor. In fact, I know tutors that tutor everything. I'm like, I can hook you up. So I connected her with a math tutor in the community. And it was like, how cool is that? Right. And when I'm then doing that, when I'm gifting other people in that way, and I'm introducing other people, that makes me more influential, doesn't it? Because
absolutely.
Now is that other tutor viewing me and what I do? And how is that person that I just introduced viewing me and what it is that I do? They see the professionalism that I put forth on out there. I'm not just that, high school tutor that's completely unconnected and
Right.
just knows like the specific class that I'm going through. I am a professional who is really taking their business seriously. And I just think that's just so cool, that opportunity, that people get the opportunity now to see tutors as professionals versus that, side job, side hustle type of position.
Yeah, and I think that's really, really important. And once again, a lot of great things that you just said in there. And one of those is, yes, you absolutely have to just begin to put yourself out there. And Clubhouse is a really good way to do that. And I think it combines, first of all, I think everybody's happy. It takes away the pressure of what Zoom had brought us, which is oh my God, I'm on video. I got to make sure I'm not that at least the top half is somewhat presentable, and where am I? And Clubhouse takes all that away, because I could literally just be laying in bed and like still be in my pajamas and like still deliver like value. And so it's great from that. So it takes all that away, but it really does give people the ability to exactly like share and serve. And everybody goes, well, the best way to really get noticed in Clubhouse or to provide any kind of value is to literally show up and provide value. Like, don't worry about the selling end of it. Like that,
right.
It's just, Clubhouse isn't really about selling. Yes, there's pitch rooms and there's rooms for that, but like for the most part, it's really topical conversations about whatever it is you want. And you can show up into any room that you want, and you can sit and you can listen and learn if you want, or you could jump up and provide some value in a conversation that is relevant to you. Like if you have genuine information, like real knowledge, experience, or story relevant to the topic of the room, well, get up there and share it. And that's how you get noticed in Clubhouse, because people go, oh, wow, that was really great. I loved the way you just said that. That's amazing. I'd like to now connect and follow you. Or in your case, the other end is, hey, that's really interesting. I actually need some help. Could you connect me to somebody who, in a math tutor, and can you connect me to somebody? And it's like, great, absolutely. I'd love to help. And now you've just created the start of a relationship. You've helped someone. Now you're top of mind because you have a great network. And so it's just that old, the old adage of doing business with people that you like and trust. So when you do things like that, you're establishing that baseline of like really great, an authority on what they do, very knowledgeable, extremely likable, and they're willing to step in and help anytime. Like, done. And those are the keys and the foundations, and that's what Clubhouse really enables you to do. And then and I'm sure you've heard this a lot, is everybody's like, well, I don't know about Clubhouse. I heard all there is people on there are marketers selling you stuff, or it's just people running like scams all the time. And I'm like, it's not everybody. Yes, there's some of it, but that's no different from Instagram, no different from Facebook, no different from Twitter, no different from LinkedIn, no different from TikTok. It's on every single platform, and you just got to be aware, once again, who you're talking to, and do your research, do your digging, ask around. Like, don't be so ready to plunk down a credit card the minute you meet somebody and they go, hey, great, I've got the secret to everything. I'm going to DM you in Instagram, and then they DM you and they're basically asking you to buy their stuff.
Oh, no. Yeah. And luckily I haven't come across any of that. So those of you guys that are listening, that's not a typical practice inside of Clubhouse or any of that kind of stuff, which is fantastic. And I think the really cool thing is you get to choose what conversations you want to join, right? And so, you start to realize, like, if there's somebody you feel really shady about, well, don't follow them, right? And don't go into the rooms. If they're one of the speakers that's on the stage, don't go in that room. And just join a different room at that point in time, or come back onto Clubhouse another day. Like it really isn't something that should ever stop you from being able to build connections. Because at the end of the day, this is about you building connections with the people that are going to matter to you. Right. it is. And you're going to find that there's all types of people that you can meet. You can meet people who are going to be like your mentor. You can meet your future coaches on there. You can meet people who are kind of going through the same thing as you, and they're having conversations around it. We created a club as soon as the club feature was rolled on out to everybody. We created a club called Tutor Talk. So anybody who wants to talk about stuff that's related to tutors, they can come on in. We meet inside of that room every Tuesday and Wednesday. And I've been playing with like different rooms and like what style works best for my particular audience. And I've really nailed 2 different topics that they really enjoy the most. And that's how to get students. Imagine that, right? And being specific on like, how do I get online tutoring students, but then being specific each week. Like this week, we're going to talk about how you use blogging to be able to get, online tutoring students. This week, we're going to talk about how can you use video and what are some effective things that you can do to be able to get students using that. And then on Wednesdays, we talk about money, because money is one of the toughest things for people to talk about, especially teachers. So we talk about, do people tell you that you're charging too much for your tutoring services? I nailed on that one, because a lot of people are like, nobody wants to hire me for what I charge. And a lot of it is because they're putting themselves in the wrong places. They're putting themselves on these tutor lists where people can price shop them. They're not putting themselves in positions like this, like Clubhouse, where they can become more influential. And that's really the key to being able to build a business. Any business can be using Clubhouse, social media, and be able to, get out there and reach those people that you want to be able to reach. It has absolutely 100% added to my bottom line by being present on that app.
Yep, absolutely. And I've heard that from so many people. And for me in particular, it's helped me really gain access to people I normally would not have had access to. It also has helped me develop amazing relationships that has led to closed business, because I met this person and then they introduced me to somebody, and then boom, before you know it, like I'm now doing business with them, and I'm coaching them. So it really is, it really gives you, it's another outlet to be able to reach people and build those relationships. And on top of that, the other end too, is the other positives there is, it really helps you with, if you enjoy public speaking or you want to get better at public speaking, it really helps you to practice those techniques and to get better as a public speaker. And it also lets you do a lot of research. A lot of R&D can be done on Clubhouse, because exactly, you can go into different rooms, you can hear the conversations. It's always that, hey, go where your clients or your network is hanging out.
Yes.
And if they're hanging out in a certain room, just go in there and, chill out, listen, hear the conversation, ask questions, learn, listen, because this is then valuable like research, R&D for your business that then you could take and implement into like your languaging, your marketing, your communication, so on and so forth. So, there's a lot of advantages of being involved in the communities.
Oh my gosh. And it's so cool, because it really is like attending a conference without having to pay that big hefty price tag. And I attended so many of those big heavy price tag conferences, and it didn't turn out to be anything, it ended up being like a big pitch fest, versus me really being able to take something out and be able to utilize it inside of my business. And so this allows you to really get to hear some of the best tips out there. And I think the coolest part is that you have to be live in the room to hear what people are saying. There is no replay. There is no
there's no recording,
listen to that later, right? So if you miss out, you miss out.
Yeah, exactly. There's no recordings. And I know, contrary to popular belief, they record, they don't record. If anybody's recording, it's because they've actually said in the room too that they're recording, but that does not happen. Like, that's still done by a third party feature, which is not integrated with Clubhouse. So really, yes, if you miss a room, you miss a room. Like, that's it. So that's why it's also important to be on the app, to be present, follow the clubs you want. Like you said it before, you have the ability to curate your own experience on Clubhouse, curate with the people you want to follow, the clubs you want to be part of, the topics you want that you're interested in, whatever they may be. But you really do have the ability to create that. Block the people you don't want to even see in a room, or, all these different things you can do. And I think that's a part of the experience that people don't know about, or they're just underutilizing, because and they keep pushing more and more towards that curated experience. So that way,
Mhm.
yeah, you find your community of people that you want to be around, and that's what you do,
Yeah.
and then you get to run in the same circles and start clubs. And, it's really it's really a great way to collaborate and just really share information and really
It is.
provide value for one another.
One thing that I love, a new feature that they've added, is that you can now, like when you go into the clubs, you can see when they're going to be talking and when they
Mhm.
have events scheduled in the clubs. And
Love
that's
that.
a really fabulous, because then you can double tap and you can add that onto your calendar versus just having to constantly go in there
I know.
cold and be like, oh, well, I don't really know what's going to be in there. Is there anything going on right now? Is there a conversation I want to be a part of? Or is it a
Yeah.
place where I want to listen? Or, now you have a little bit more ability to be able to plan out those conversations. And I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a really great feature. I'm looking forward to the one feature, which I think everybody is, which is the ability to actually schedule out all your rooms like at once. So it's like to be able to like
Oh,
if I'm
sure.
doing a
Every
room,
Tuesday.
yeah, and just
Mhm.
set that. And that's the one feature I know everybody's been asking for, because it'd be nice, because it's like, hey, if my room's every Tuesday at 12 p.m., like it would be nice to then just block out the entire month of
Right.
June for that, and just schedule it right away, rather than having to go back in each and every week and like schedule a room. I mean, you could sit there and schedule them all out in one shot, but it'd be nice to just like Google
Yeah.
Calendar it and just set it, and like there it is.
Recurring.
Yeah, exactly.
Recurring.
Yeah.
Right. Just hit the little button that says recurring every
Yeah,
week.
be awesome. Set up a recurring button, please. We're all asking for it.
Please.
It'd be
We
nice.
are. We
It
are.
would it
Yeah.
would really be a big help.
If
Uh,
anybody out there is listening in the Clubhouse world.
yeah, absolutely. Please set up the recurring button. Well, this was awesome. I really appreciate you coming on today. This was a lot of fun. This was a great interview, and you're an awesome person. So I'm really glad that you were able to
Mm.
come on, and it was a really cool conversation for sure. So
Well, thank you for
thanks for
having
joining
me.
us today. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Any final words? Anything you'd like to add? Tell people to do whatever.
Honestly, when it comes down to it, you guys, to be
Mhm.
more influential, you have to be present. It's not something that you can outsource to somebody else, right? A lot of people, they want to outsource being able to grow their audience, but at the end of the day, you're building something amazing for you and your business. So if you're interested in checking out, more about Clubhouse, how do I go through it step by step? What does everything mean? What does the terminology mean? How can I use it to grow my audience? Definitely check out Clubhouse on social media, and that will help you take that next step. So, and if you happen to be somebody who wants to tutor or any of that, then come join us in Tutor Talk in Clubhouse. We have an amazing community inside of there of tutors that are looking to be able to grow their businesses.
That was excellent. Thanks for sharing that information. I may just come and just hang out and tutor
Yeah,
talk,
there you go.
just to hear the conversation. Maybe I'll learn something. I'll learn a thing or two. It'll be good.
That's right. Maybe. Who
You
knows?
never know.
At the end of the day, marketing is marketing. I think sometimes
True.
we just don't trust certain people because, well, they don't know because, right? Like they're not a
Right.
tutor, or they're not a hairdresser, or they're not a lawyer, or we kind of
Mhm.
situationalize why we can't listen to certain advice, and so a lot of the stuff that you'll actually hear inside of our community isn't just valid for just tutors. It's actually awesome marketing knowledge for the world.
Right. Yeah, I think that's really great. So definitely everybody out there who is interested in tutoring, interested in learning more about online business or marketing, or just looking for great people to meet, definitely get onto Clubhouse for sure. If you're having trouble getting on Clubhouse, which is now also on Android, so it's no longer just an iPhone, hit us up.
Woo!
We've got invites. We'll
Yep.
invite you on. Just
We
DM
always
us.
have invites, right? There's
Always
always
having. Yeah.
they're always throwing them at us. I'm like, oh look, I have 6 more invites. All
Yeah,
right, cool.
exactly. So plenty of invites to get you on the app if you'd like to get on. So just hit us up. But I really want to thank Joanne again for coming on today. This was great. It was an awesome conversation. I really appreciate you, and really looking forward to developing a further relationship. So
Yes,
thank you so much for jumping on.
absolutely. And thanks again.
You got it. And I want to thank everybody who is watching live today. Thank you once again to everybody who will be watching the replay or listening to the audio version of this. Really appreciate each and every one of you. As I said at the top, please make sure you hit that like button and also the share button as well, wherever you're watching this, because not only does it help grow the show when you reshare, but it also once again, most importantly, helps my guests, because that's what this is all about, is helping the people that I have come on the show to help get them the exposure that they need to help them get their message out. So please hit that share button. And of course, if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so that way you get notified every single time I go live or drop a new video or drop a new podcast or whatever. Do all the things, because it all matters at the end of the day. It really counts. So thank you all once again for joining me today. And always remember, be authentic, be yourself, and always remember to rock it. See you guys next Tuesday.